Okay, I think we're ready to go here. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study of paper 46, the local system headquarters, and we're on section 5. That's paper 46, section 5, paragraph 26, and that's on page 526 of the original book. So that's where we're starting out tonight, and I think we're going to try to finish this paper tonight. We're going to have a meeting tonight and Thursday night, and then Sunday I'm going to wrap up the introduction to Urantia book, and we're going to be on a sabbatical till January after that. So yeah, got a little time off. Let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share this beautiful revelation you've given us to all the world. We pray to open our hearts and minds that we might remember a little bit of it and share it with loved ones. We thank you for the opportunity to do this. We pray that you watch over and bless this world. It's in such trouble right now. We thank you. We give you the praise in your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Paper 46. Let's see here. Dear, you want to start us out tonight?
Okay.
Did you say Gary or dear? I didn't catch that.
I give it not.
Excuse me.
I'm
I guess
assuming
you
it
could
was dear. Huh?
We love you, Big Gary.
Mhm.
4. The circles of the master physical controllers. The various orders of the master physical controllers are concentrically arranged around the vast temple of power, wherein presides the power chief of the system in association with the chief of the Urantia power supervisors. This temple of power is one of 2 sectors on Jerusalem, where ascending mortals and midway creatures are not permitted. The other one is a dematerializing sector in the area of the material suns, a series of laboratories wherein the transport seraphim transform material beings into a state quite like that of the Urantia order of existence.
Okay, interesting part about this is number one, human beings or mortals and Urantia beings are not permitted in this power circles, in the master physical controller power circles. Why do you think that is? Because all of our essence of where we come from is from the power master physical controllers and the master physical and the power controllers. So if you were allowed in there, it would probably disrupt your being of who you are. Okay, so that would be a big no-no. The other one is it's interesting here. It says that there are 2 disassembly areas, basically, where they can take the material sons and daughters into these laboratories, dematerialize them, and make them into a being quite like that of you see this Urantia order of existence?
Yes.
You see that? Why would that be? That's so they could be transported. Okay, so that gives us a little hint about something else they don't tell us directly in the book, and that is what? That Urantia beings can be transported by seraphim. Without materialization, dematerialization.
Our souls are Urantia and they transport.
Yeah. So this is important to us because why? This tells us how we get, when the transport seraphim have to take us from planet to planet, they don't have to dematerialize us. They just in seraphim us, they knock us out in seraphim us and take us there, and then we just wake up in the new place. Okay.
That makes absolute sense.
Doesn't it? Though?
It does, yeah.
And since they make the material sons and daughters, when they volunteer to become Adam and Eve, they have to dematerialize them, take them to the new planet. I guess they're in a Urantia type state, and then they take this Urantia type state and plug it into the new physical being of that type of planet. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So big mystery solved in this one little paragraph. But let's go on down to the next slide. Okay. And this is a picture of the circles of the master physical controllers. And I don't know if you can read that very well, but it says this is the top circles, the Franzolinks and Chronodex. The second is the secondary disassociators. The third is the primary associators. And the fourth is the energy transmitters. And then the fifth is the energy transformers. The sixth is the mechanical controllers themselves. And the seventh is the power directors. You notice right in the center of this, it says the Temple of Power. Do you see that? That little triangular thing? So in essence, what they're telling us is the reason they don't let mortals and Morantia beings in here, probably by us going inside. Look at the ladybug, dude. See, the ladybug just flew out.
I started flying around.
Yeah. Anyway, the reason they won't let us in there is probably if we went in as a Morantia being, it may disrupt our physical being, which would be a real issue, right? So that's one of the circles that we will never be able to go into. This is another view of the same thing, and you'll notice in this one you can see the center temple of power. Apparently, it goes all the way to the top, so it's pretty big. You know, it's probably where power is actually emitted from. And it says in this slide that this is one of the two sectors of Jerusalem where ascending mortals and midway creatures are not permitted. Okay, so it's a no-no. Okay.
Wonder what happens if you go in there anyway.
You wouldn't.
Probably, yeah. I don't think they would let you. They probably have some sort of warning when any non-power person or being would approach it. Plus the fact, remember these power controllers, the physical controllers and stuff, are not the type of beings that we would ever interact with. Okay, so you would never meet a master physical controller or anything like that because he has nothing he would relate to you about. Okay, they're control personnel. They do their job and that's all they do. All right.
So Roger,
Yeah.
so is it stating that no being is allowed within the circles?
Yes, that's what
So
it's
what-
stating.
Actually see any of that?
No, we could probably see the circle structure from the outside.
On the outside, correct.
Yeah,
But
but not from the inside.
it's so foreign to mortals. It doesn't relate to us
No,
in
with
any
nothing we can.
way for our
Yeah.
ascension plan.
No.
And not everything is about us. It's not
Yeah.
about us.
Yeah, it seems like the whole economy of the seven super universes is around the ascension plan for mortals. But in reality, that's not the case. In reality, many other things are going on at the same time. The reason we get that idea is because in this revelation, they're trying to reveal to us important things on our ascension plan, get us ready for the ascension plan. That's one of the things, when we started the introduction to the Urantia book, it's so important for us to read this book and on this planet, if we can, to prepare us for what's coming, right? So really, if they had a book that covered everything that we're going to encounter, it would be, 2 million volumes probably.
Exactly. And the other point to remember is this: we are looking at it from a Morantia existence. Now, if we ascend all the way to paradise and then the Father's going to send us on a mission, then we
Yes.
will be spirit. That's a
We will
whole
be.
different story.
Yeah, that then would be finaleters, and we're going to see in a slide they got a temple just for the period of time when we all become seventh stage spirits at the same time. So according to God the Father and Michael and the local universe mother spirit, this is a fact. It's going to happen sooner or later. To us, it seems like off in eternity. To God the Father, it's reality already, right? Because there is no time to God. So, and that's hard for our little pea brains to comprehend. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yes, but I've got a comment. You know, as far as the dematerialization of the material suns,
Mm-hmm.
so they can be transported. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that the creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, based Star Trek on the Urantia book. I
Yeah,
believe read it, and that's
yeah.
how he came up with
The
Star-
transporter thing? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, dematerializing and rematerializing things. Yeah, yeah.
It's
And of course,
interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. And because of that concept, scientists have been working on doing that very thing for years, you know, dematerializing things and rematerializing things. See, the problem with that is non how would I say this? Non-human items, that might be possible. But human beings to us, I don't believe we would ever get to that point. You know what I'm saying? They just make the assumption that we'll be able to do that sometime in the future. The trouble is we have a soul and all these other things that's involved in it. So it's not likely that the creator son's going to let us get to the point where we start zapping each other and dematerializing and rematerializing ourselves. You know, not likely. Anyway, makes good science fiction, but it's not reality. Okay, would you take the next one?
Yes. 5, the circles of the ascending mortals. The central area of the circles of the ascending mortals is occupied by a group of 619 planetary memorials representative of the inhabited worlds of the system. And these structures periodically undergo extensive changes. It is the privilege of the mortals from each world to agree from time to time upon certain of the alterations or additions to their planetary memorials. Many changes are even now being made in the Urantia structures. The center of these 619 temples is occupied by a working model of Urantia and its many worlds of ascendant culture. This model is 40 miles in diameter and is an actual reproduction of the Urantia system, true to the original in every detail.
Okay, and this is a picture of it. Okay, and an interesting part of this, if you look, if you can see this, the center is the model. Okay, and these little things around it are the 619 temples. Okay, one for each and every planet.
Wow.
So that means as new planets come online, what do they have to do? They have to add a temple. Okay. This section itself is just 40 miles across. So it's probably another 40 or 50 miles to the outside of this. And all these living areas going around in 7 concentric circles, just like before, are the circles of ascending mortals. So this is where we would live if we had a period of time to live on Jerusalem, okay, which we will have. So this will be our residence for a while.
So eventually, there'll be 1,000.
You want to teach
models.
tonight? Yeah, eventually there'll be 1,000 temples around the outside of this thing, right?
Wow.
This is my new teacher. He only teaches in one language, though, unfortunately.
Meow, meow.
Meow, meow, meow. Yeah. It's kind of a meow mix, you know. Anyway, I couldn't pass it. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Ascenders enjoyed their Jerusalem services and take pleasure in observing the techniques of other groups. Everything done in these various circles is open to the full observation of all Jerusalem.
Okay, so everything you do in these circles is that other groups can see what you're doing, and you can see what the other groups are doing there too, right? Because they have different cultures. Which brings up a good question. If they keep modifying the model for each planet, if we end up, nuking ourselves, I wonder if they they reflect that in the planets,
Yeah.
Knows, Yeah. Okay. And there's Gary back. Gary, would you take the next one, please?
The activities of such a world are of three distinct varieties: work, progress, and play. I like that one.
Yeah.
Stated otherwise, they are service, study, and relaxation. I like that one too.
Mhm.
The composite activities consist of social intercourse, group entertainment, and divine worship. There is great educational value in mingling with diverse groups of personalities. Orders very different from one's own fellows.
So if you don't get along with everybody, you better get over it.
I wonder if they're trying to say that there would be people there like reptiles and scorpions and
There could
people
be
that would be,
Gary, there
you know,
could be almost anything. It's probably beyond our human imagination, the type of beings we will meet. Right.
Roger,
I think a good example would be excuse me, Rodney. I think a good example would be the so-called aliens or the aliens that we're currently experiencing, whether you believe that or not.
I
Because some
believe
of them are not that pretty.
Yes, I think you're right on the money, Gary. I think we'll see all sorts of different types of beings, because they say when you get your new Urantia body, they're all a blank. In other words, they're all made of the same material. And when they install the personality in that new person, your outward appearance starts to take on what you look like before. Okay. So whatever type of being you were, you're going to look similar to that in your Morantia being. The only difference is we're all going to have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, all walk upright, So, which brings up another question that's of interest. If you were born in a world that's all underwater, right, and you were an underwater creature, are they going to look, sort of like fish walking upright? I don't know, but it's an interesting question, isn't it? So if you
You
start
have
to
a
take,
fishbowl in your head.
yeah, I don't, who knows? Really don't know.
No.
Okay.
What you want to say, Rodney? I cut you off. I'm sorry.
well, actually, Roger more or less explained it, because I was going to say that we all get identical bodies,
Yeah.
Urantia bodies, but apparently they change form a little. Okay.
Yeah. According to what you were before. And it's funny too. The other interesting thing about that is this, your body itself, when you become interiorly more beautiful, the outside of your body modifies to become more beautiful too. So it kind of makes you wonder, there's a lot of strange looking people walking around on this planet now that are human beings, right? So it makes you wonder if a lot of them, when they get there, are pretty ugly, but when they start to grow spiritually, they become more and more beautiful, So if you want to know that, just walk around any mall, right? Or any Walmart, right? Yeah. Okay, let's go on.
I'm going to make a comment, and I do not mean to insult any woman, but I have noticed that some women are so into following the crowd they'll take a beautiful person and follow the current designs and make themselves dirt dauber ugly. Okay.
That's men do
And
the
if they
same
would
thing.
only just step back and say, what's my good points? What's my bad points? And forget about the social things, they would be so much better off. I mean, it would
Yeah,
change their whole state of being.
yeah, it would. And which makes you wonder in this current generation, y'all all know that I've never agreed with tattooing. Never.
Same here.
And yeah,
Same here. Yeah.
I don't think you have the right to take the temple of God, which is what your body is. You're a host to a thought adjuster. So this is the temple of God. And I don't think you have the right to deface that, regardless of how you feel about it. I really don't. And you see so many beautiful people out there that have scarred their bodies beyond recognition. And Diane and I have run into this many times, and we've been out eating and thing. I saw a guy the other night that would have been a very handsome man, but he had all these skulls tattooed all over his head and his neck and all these things. And I think, I pity him. That's all I can do, So, but everybody thinks they have the right to get tattoos, and they do, but I look at it as my body is God's temple, and I try to keep it as clean as I can. That's all I can say. That's my opinion, which is worth a grain of salt. So if you want to go
I'll
get
give
tattoos,
you
go get
an
tattoos.
example. I had a friend who was a bodybuilder, and he had an Indian chief on his bicep when he was a bodybuilder, right? Well,
Mhm.
as time went on, he stopped bodybuilding. You know what the Indian chief happened to the Indian chief?
No,
He got old and wrinkled as his bicep went down.
yeah, I can relate to that. Okay, circles of the courtesy colony. The 7 circles of the courtesy colonies are graced by 3 enormous structures: the vast astronomic observatory of Jerusalem, the gigantic art gallery of Satania, and the immense assembly hall of the reversion directors, the theater of Morantia activities devoted to rest and recreation. And I got a picture of this coming up real quick here. So that's the 3 enormous structures in the circles of the courtesy colony. Now we're not going to belabor some of these tonight, because we're going to finish this paper tonight. So we can wrap everything up for the month. Okay. Diane, would you take the next one, please, dear?
The celestial artisans direct the Spornasia and provide the host of creative decorations and monumental memorials, which abound in every place of public assembly. The studios of these artisans are among the largest and most beautiful of all the matchless structures of this wonderful world. The other courtesy colonies maintain extensive and beautiful headquarters. Many of these buildings are constructed wholly of crystal gems. All the architectural worlds abound in crystals and the so-called precious metals.
Okay, so the celestial artisans actually take the Spernasia and tell them what goes where, and kind of directs them in making everything beautiful, right? And that's the case that they say that the Spernasia you're going to see in a paragraph coming up are almost beyond number. There's so many of them, and they are the only beings that are reincarnated too, which is kind of interesting. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. 7. The circles of the finalators have a unique structure at the center. And this same vacant temple is found on every system headquarters world throughout Nebadon. This edifice on Jerusalem is sealed with the insignia of Michael, and it bears this inscription: undedicated to the seventh stage of spirit, to the eternal assignment. Gabriel placed the seal on this temple of mystery, and none but Michael can or may break the seal of
Sovereignty. Yeah.
affixed by the bright and morning star. Someday you shall look upon this silent temple, even though you may not penetrate its mystery.
Okay, so the temple they're talking about is this temple here. It's in the center of the circles of finalators. This is where the finalators live when they come and visit Jerusalem, okay, which we will one day be. And this temple in the center is the temple that's dedicated to being seventh stage spirits. And I got another picture of this that's almost a little better. Let's take this short paragraph and then we'll go on to the next one. Let me read this, Jane, and then you can get the next longer one. The other Jerusalem circles, in addition to the residential circles, are there on Jerusalem numerous additional designated abodes. So the abodes are for the finalators, right? And there's, oh no, this is the one that's, I'm sorry. This is the one that is for the ascending pilgrims. Let me go down here where I can read it. There we go. Ascending pilgrims, student visitors, various reserve corps, extension, social instructors, reversion directors, celestial artisans, and star students. This is the one that's got the gallery of Satania, the three structures we were just talking about. I should move this slide back up where it belongs. The astronomical observatory of Jerusalem. So this observatory, there's one on every system capital where the star students can look out to all the heavens, just like they do here. You know, they make a big deal about this new Webb telescope. You know, y'all are gonna laugh at this, but you know they're beginning to prove that the Big Bang didn't happen. Y'all know that, right?
Good.
You been seeing any of this on TV?
Good.
They're about to prove the Big Bang. You know what I've been saying for the last 50 years, because it comes from the book, that the Big Bang never happened. And they're figuring that out from this new Webb telescope. Okay. Yeah, sooner or later, you know, as time goes on, everything in the book gets more and more proven as we go. So what I wanted to show y'all was this. This is the courtesy colony circle. Let me go see if I can go back up here. This is the circle of the finalators. I don't want to confuse y'all. Okay. The circle of the finalators has the dedicated temple in the center. Okay. And I misled y'all to thinking something else. And this is the other one. And the center, the other thing that's on this is the assembly halls and theater of Urantia activities too. Okay. It's hard to read on that slide. Okay, we're going to make it here. Okay, Jane, would you take this one, please?
The executive administrative divisions of the system are located in the immense departmental squares.
Wait a minute, Jane. You missed the title, and it's very important you get something.
Oh, I
in
am
this
so
title.
sorry. Yes, thank
Yes.
you. 6, the executive administrative squares.
Squares. That's the one I want you to get. Okay. Notice we've had circles, we've got triangles, we got squares. Okay.
Squares.
Yeah.
The executive administrative divisions of the system are located in the immense departmental squares, 1,000 in number. Each administrative unit is divided into 100 subdivisions of 10 subgroups each. These 1,000 squares are clustered in 10 grand divisions, thus constituting the following 10 administrative departments.
Okay, so these squares are divided into huge subdivisions, okay? And each of these subdivisions has a different function. So this is almost hard to even imagine. but this is what the subdivisions are. And Gary, you get the pleasure of reading all this.
Thank you. I feel honored beyond all understanding. Number one, physical maintenance and material improvement, the domains of physical power and energy. Number two, arbitration, ethics, and administrative.
Adjudication. Yeah.
Okay. Three, planetary and local affairs. Four, constellation and universe affairs. Five, education and other Melchizedek activities. Six, planetary and systems physical progress, the scientific domains of Satania activities. Seven, Morantia affairs. Eight, pure spirit activities and ethics. Nine, ascendant ministry. 10, grand universe philosophy. These structures are transparent, hence all system activities can be viewed even by student visitors.
So when you're looking at these squares from the outside, they're all transparent, so you can see through everything, so you can observe how the entire system of Satania is administered. There's nothing hidden whatsoever. Okay. And that's why they're physically transparent, so that everybody can see and observe and see how everything works. Now, the next one is the rectangles. Okay, and I'll take this one. The rectangles, the Sparnasia, the 1,000 rectangles of Jerusalem are occupied by the lower native life of the headquarters planet. And at their center is situated the vast circular headquarters of the Sparnasia. Okay, and these are divided into 1,000 rectangles, and this is where all the Sparnasia live. All right. And dear, would you take the next one?
On Jerusalem, you will be amazed by the agricultural achievements of the wonderful Sparnasia. There, the land is cultivated largely for aesthetic and ornamental effects. Sparnasia are the landscape gardeners of the headquarters worlds, and they are both original and artistic in their treatment of the open spaces of Jerusalem. They utilize both animals and numerous mechanical contrivances in the culture. Thank you. In the culture of the soil. They are intelligently expert in the employment of the power agencies of their realms, as well as in the utilization of numerous orders of their lesser brethren of the lower animal creations, many of which are provided them on these special worlds. This order of animal life is now largely directed by ascending midway creatures from the evolutionary spheres.
And remember, it's the celestial artisans that direct all these from Asia, okay? Because that's important, because you have the opportunity, if you want to sign up for it, you can become part of the celestial artisans if you have a little bit of talent, okay?
Not me, I got a crooked thumb.
Rodney, would you take the next one?
Spartasia are not at just turned 12. They do not possess survival souls, but they do enjoy long lives, sometimes to the extent of 40 to 50,000 standard years. Their number is legion, and they afford physical ministry to all orders of universe personalities requiring material service.
So they live 40 to 50,000 standard years. That's standard system years, not our years, right? So that's a long time, and that's not all that it says about them here. We have to go on. Yeah, Gary.
Are Sparnasia God produced, I guess, because there's no sex in heaven?
They're
So I guess there's
they reproduce. They're one of the few reproductive beings, Gary. So they reproduce like normal animals do when need be. Okay. But they're created by the local universe mother spirit and then Michael, right? As children.
okay.
Yeah, they're animals. You know how the local universe mother spirit creates all the animals, right? Okay, so they're included in this too. But this is important. This next paragraph is important about the Spernasia themselves. All right. Jane, would you take this one?
Although Spernasia neither possess nor evolve survival souls, though they do not have personality, nevertheless, they do evolve an individuality which can experience reincarnation. When, with the passing of time, the physical bodies of these unique creatures deteriorate from usage and age, their creators, in collaboration with the life carriers, fabricate new bodies in which the old Spernasia re-establish their residences.
So they are actually reincarnated, okay, into these new bodies. All right.
Wonder how long they've been around.
Probably since the beginning of the local universe. Right.
Wow.
Gary, would you take the next one, please?
Oh, me?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Spernasia are the only creatures in all the universe of Lebanon who experience this or any other sort of reincarnation. They are only reactive to the first 5 of the adjutant mind spirits. They are not responsive to the spirits of worship and wisdom, so they can't evolve.
Right.
But the 5 adjutant mind equivalates to a totality or 60
Six.
reality 60
No,
or
just six. Six reality. That's
reality
yeah.
level.
Right.
And it is this factor which persists as an experimental identity.
Experiential identity. They experience.
Okay.
Right. Just like we do. Now, think about this. They have individuality, just like all the animals we have on this planet, right? They're individuals. They have their own, they don't call it personality because they reserve personality for humans. Okay. But they have individuality. So each one of them are unique in their own way and they have their own traits.
It's an essence.
Huh?
Isn't it an essence?
Essence, own essence, if you would. Okay. And they believe that they have experiences, so they will go up to at least the 6th level of reality. What are they talking about? The same thing that we'll eventually get to. Okay. We are different stage beings, right? As Morantia, we have multiple stages of Morantia being. When we get to spirit, we get up to be a what? 6th stage spirit, right? So we will all pass into 7th stage spirits simultaneously at the same time. And at that point, the Supreme will become full fruition, will become God the Supreme. Okay. Now, this last little paragraph is important because they say here that because they have the first 5 adjutant mind spirits, that equivalates to the totality of the 6th level of reality. And that's what we're going to equivalate to. Okay. So they're on the same level. They're just not eternal like we are. Okay. But they do have this experiential identity, which goes into the Supreme, just like we do. But look what they're going to say here. I don't know if it's this paragraph or the next one, but we'll get to it. I am quite without comparison in undertaking to describe these useful and unusual creatures, as there are no animals on the evolutionary worlds comparable to them. They are not evolutionary beings, having been projected by the life carriers in their present form and status. They are bisexual and procreate as they are required to meet the needs of a growing population, so they do reproduce as they're ordered to. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. I've
Can I
got
ask you a
something to say.
question? What do
Yeah.
they mean by bisexual?
In other
Does that
words,
mean that they can divide themselves, like become one, become two?
no, both the males and the females can reproduce.
Like
So
seahorse.
there's no union. It's just the fact that they can divide.
Well, they probably have a union too, but they can, two male of the species can have procreate, two female of the species can procreate, and apparently both the males and the females can create new beings.
That's
Hmm.
strange.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're the only type creature when we leave this planet that does that, apparently. All right. And we're gonna explain them a little bit more here. Diane, would you?
Perhaps I can best suggest to Urantia minds something of the nature of these beautiful and serviceable creatures by saying that they embrace the combined traits of a faithful horse and an affectionate dog, and manifest an intelligence exceeding that of the highest type of chimpanzee. And they are very beautiful, as judged by the physical standards of Urantia. They are most appreciative of the attention shown them by the material and semi-material sojourners on these architectural worlds. They have a vision which permits them to recognize, in addition to material beings, the Morantia creations, the lower angelic orders, midway creatures, and some of the lower orders of spirit personalities. They do not comprehend worship of the infinite, nor do they grasp the import of the eternal, but they do, through affection for their masters, join in the outward spiritual devotions of their realms.
Have you ever noticed that when you're quiet or you're in a worshipful attitude, that your pets around you kind of go into this state of calm like you do?
Mhm.
You know? And that's what they're talking about here. The Sporanja, when you're in the worship state or when you're worshiping, they share this with you by augmenting themselves into that same state of mind, even though they don't understand worship and wisdom. Right? Just like your pets do.
It's love.
It's love.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any way you look at it. Right? All right. And this is an interesting paragraph because it makes you wonder about the animals on this planet. Okay. Who just read? Jane, did you just read?
I did.
Oh, you just read, dear? Rodney, would you take this one?
Yes, there are those who believe that in a future universe age, these faithful Spornasia will escape from their animal level of existence and attain a worthy evolutional destiny of progressive intellectual growth and even spiritual achievement.
I think that's pretty important.
I think that's very important.
I do too. Yeah. So what they're telling us is that though there are those that believe that in some future age, these Sporanja will appreciate worship and wisdom. And if that happens, then what will happen? They will get a thought adjuster and they will go on the ascension plan just like us. Right.
That's very
I've
Interesting.
heard
It
people
is.
talk about, gorillas, chimpanzees, dolphins,
Yep.
being possible, that being possible with them.
Might be, and we don't know for sure what happens to all the animals. There's so many animals on this planet. They don't really tell us what happens to them, but they do tell us that nothing is wasted in the universe. And it would make sense that if the local universe mother spirit creates these billions and billions of creatures, that she has that under control and she does something with them, right? Just makes sense, That doesn't say they go to the mansion worlds, does it? It doesn't say they don't go to the mansion worlds, but it doesn't say what happens to them. You know, whether they get recycled into something, another type of creature, the same type of creature. I don't know. You know, I can't tell you. Right. I do know that when Jesus was talking about the dog in the out in the yard that he was playing with, he was trying to explain the difference between human beings and animals to someone, and he did say that the dog did not have a soul. He did not develop a soul. What do? We develop a soul. Okay. So that's our ticket onto the next life, isn't it? If we don't accept that ticket onto the next life, what happens to us? We cease to exist, right? Right. And we're going to find that out in the very last paragraph of this paper tonight. Okay. Okay. So let's go on. We got another section to do here. Triangles. Gary, did you just
I
read?
just read.
You just read. Okay. Jane, would you take this one?
8. The Jerusalem triangles. The purely local and routine affairs of Jerusalem are directed from the 100 triangles. These units are clustered around the 10 marvelous structures domiciling in the local administration of Jerusalem. The triangles are surrounded by the panoramic depiction of the system headquarters history. At present, there is an erasure of over 2 standard miles in the circular story. This sector will be restored upon the readmission of Satania into the constellation family. Every provision for this event has been made by the decrees of Michael, but the tribunal of the Ancients of Days has not yet finished the adjudication of the affairs of the Lucifer rebellion. Satania may not come back into the full fellowship of Nolansiadak so long as it harbors arch rebels, high created beings who have fallen from light into darkness.
Okay, so at present there's a erasure. In other words, it's gone of over 2,000 two standard miles in the circular story. So there's an area because of the rebellion that they won't let anybody in, and you can't go into, and there's nothing there that you can see. Okay. They erased it because of the Lucifer rebellion. And until the adjudication is done, that area will not be restored. Okay, so it's serious, right? And it makes you wonder if these are Jerusalem triangles, do you get sent to the corner? How do you get out? You know? Yeah. A square you can go around, a triangle, you know, you kind of get stuck there, right? I'm just joking, y'all. I'm trying to make this a little lighter. It's pretty serious stuff.
You know, there's a church in Akron, Ohio, that is built in a circle so the devil can't corner the preacher.
Really?
That's what I've been told. I'm from that area.
Yeah. This is sort of the illustration of the triangles and the administration buildings, right? And then the 100 Jerusalem triangles. So it's trying to give you an idea of what that circle looks like. Okay. All right. I'm getting pretty close to the end here. Let's see. Gary, I think you're up again.
When Satania can return to the constellation fold, they will come up for consideration the readmission of the isolated worlds into the system family of inhabited planets, accompanied by their restoration to the spiritual communion of the realms. But even if Urantia were restored to the system circuits, you would still be embarrassed by the fact that your whole system rests under a Urantia deck quarantine, partially segregating it from all other systems.
Okay, so it's not just the 36 planets that's quarantined. Okay, that's what they're saying here. Satania itself is quarantined under Norlatiadek, okay, our constellation. So because we had 36 planets, that means that all 619 planets are still under the system quarantine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just not the planets. It's the system that's quarantined also. So that's important to know. So even if they listed all the planetary quarantine, that won't be enough. They have to wait till the quarantine of Satania gets lifted before we're totally back in the fold. Make sense?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty serious.
Very serious.
We're kind of the stepchild right now, right? We'll call it that. Okay, I'm not going to read anymore. I'm going to let Diane take this one, Rodney.
But ere long, the adjudication of Lucifer and his associates will restore the Satania system to the Norlatiadek constellation, and subsequently, Urantia and the other isolated spheres will be restored to the Satania circuits. And again will such worlds enjoy the privileges of interplanetary communication and intersystem communion.
You ever wonder why we can't talk to the other planets?
That's fine.
That's why, right? Because we're
I
under
told you guys
quarantine.
last time, I said there's no channel 2.
There's no channel 2. That's right. You know, so you can listen to the constellation, I mean the planets all you want. And you might pick up a radio signal or something, but you won't be able to communicate with them. That's what I'm saying, because we're under quarantine. Okay, so when this is lifted, you will be able to communicate with other planets. And what will happen? People will go nuts because all these aliens that we can't communicate with will start communicating with us. Okay.
No, that doesn't make sense. Because we have communication with aliens presently.
Well, just on this planet, the ones that pick that up here, that is probably the mattress thing.
Hello.
Oh, we are calling about your Costco delivery.
Okay, I'm.
To opt out from receiving a future call
Don't
from Costco
don't knock.
regarding your delivery order,
Just let it.
press 1. Otherwise, please stay on the line to continue with this message.
You just stay on the line. Okay, so when we get restored to the
Your 6-home delivery team is scheduled to arrive at your home on November.
Sorry, y'all. I'm waiting for her to.
30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. It's important that someone over the age of 18 be present at the delivery location at the time of delivery.
I'm getting a new mattress delivered tomorrow because of my back. Trying to keep from having back surgery.
We're happy to reschedule your delivery if anyone in the house has been confirmed with COVID-19 or have common symptoms such as fever, dry cough, or other
Let me
respiratory
mute
issues.
this for just a second.
Anyone in the house.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? Do they mean that the planetary communication is shut off to us from other planets too? I mean, or could we be
Yes.
communicating with
Yes.
each other
No,
that
the
are
communication.
inside the quarantine?
No, we could communicate to someone that was inside the quarantine, probably. Gary, that's probably the aliens that are buzzing around the planet and they're trying to keep us straightened out. They may have already straightened out their planet and they don't want us to, blow up the planet, or it could just be celestial visitors that are overlooking us to try to keep us from killing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But we are under quarantine. What they're talking about is intercommunication planet to planet and the celestial broadcast. We don't get any broadcast outside this planet from outside this planet. Now, that does not mean that the midwayers and beings like that can communicate with us if they choose to, but they normally don't choose to on a regular basis unless it's a planetary crisis or they're doing a revelation like they did this book, right? So we're pretty much cut off from everyone. That's just all there is to it. So, did we read this paragraph, dear? We got one more.
Yeah.
Huh?
I just
Yes.
did.
She did. Okay. So after the adjudication is totally done, they will restore us to the Norlaciadeck constellation communication. And when that happens, all the planets will be able to communicate with each other again, too. We'll not only be able to get the communication from other planets, but we'll start getting the broadcasts from Satania, directly from Satania. And that's what they're talking about, restoring the circuits, because when the circuits are restored, intercommunication to this planet will be set back up. So, which is really kind of strange, because if you think about it, for the last 200,000 years, we have had no communication outside this planet. Think about it, since the Lucifer rebellion, right? All right, we got one more, y'all. We're going to finish this tonight. All right. And let's see who would be up. I think,
Rodney?
huh?
Rodney.
Rodney?
Yeah,
Rodney, I think you're up.
it would help us out tremendously, I think.
Yeah.
There will come an end for rebels and rebellion. The supreme rulers are merciful and patient, but the law of deliberately nourished evil is universally and unerringly executed. The wages of sin is death, eternal obliteration.
Did y'all
And this-
catch that?
Yeah.
No doubt about it. They don't mince words here, do they? The wages of sin are death, just like it says in the Bible, right? Eternal obliteration. It doesn't say you go to hell forever, right?
The sentence before that is confusing. The supreme rulers are merciful and patient, but the law of deliberately nourishing evil is universally and unerringly executed. What's that mean?
That means if you rebel, any nourished evil, anything that starts evil and propagates evil or anything like that has the seeds of its own destruction, basically. When you nourish evil, you've destroyed yourself. It's suicide, right?
Okay, the word unerringly executed means terminal.
Terminal, yes.
They're going to execute on death row.
No, it means when they take the life force out of you, it's permanent. There's you cease to exist and you are no longer there. Okay.
No,
and there's no resurrection from that death. When we die, we all have this appointment to die sooner or later. But when we die, we have the faith that we're going to reawaken on the mansion worlds, right? That's not what they're talking about here. When they take the life force out of you, all that made you who you are is taken away, and your soul, if you would, becomes the property of whom? The thought adjuster. Okay. Your record and experience becomes the property of the supreme, but you are never given a vehicle to consciousize ever again. So that which makes you who you are will never reappear as you ever again. Okay.
I didn't even know your personality went on. I thought that was terminated too.
No, that's part of the thought adjuster. It goes on in the experience of the thought adjuster. Okay.
Oh, really the experience of the thought adjuster. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, on the experience of the thought adjuster. The important part of this is twofold. Number one, the wages of sin is death. If you embrace evil, you've destroyed yourself. That's all there is to it. It's cosmic suicide. That's what they call it. They call it cosmic suicide because when you embrace sin, you can't have sin and evil in the same universe as all good. And that's what the universe is all good. Okay. They can't coexist. We think in our life that evil and good are equal. They're not. There is, let me put it this way. Good is what reality is. Sin is non-reality. So when you embrace sin, you embrace non-reality. Okay. And when you embrace non-reality, you become what? You become the walking dead. You are no longer alive. You're not considered part of the cosmos, so you've committed cosmic suicide. Make sense?
Yes.
It's just a logical progression. And
Philosophically, yes.
Yes, it does. And this was presented by an archangel of Nebadon. Now, why would they choose an archangel of Nebadon to give us the information on our local system headquarters?
Because it's a local system.
It's a local system, and the archangel are the highest source of knowledge for the local systems. Okay? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Who do they send out with Jesus, with all the creator sons when they first go out to create their local universe?
An archangel.
They loan them archangels, 100 archangels, until their own archangels can be created. Okay. So they're so important, you can't even start a universe without a core of archangels. Make sense? And it's one of the few angels they tell us the least about. It's kind of funny, but that's how important they are. Okay. So I want to bring up another point here because Diane and I have been dealing with something over the last few weeks. We know someone. When you decide, and we've talked about this before, Gary, when you decide to kill yourself, what have you done?
Terminated yourself, as far as I'm concerned.
Cosmic
At least-
suicide, isn't it? Think of it that way.
I'm going to expound. I'm confused here a little bit. To me, now I have a friend also I'm dealing with it that has
Yeah.
something I'm dealing with, And so what I'm saying is this, if you kill yourself, you are terminating yourself. But I also understand that you can go forward. And if the Ancient of Days, I believe, renders you salvageable, they can
Salvageable.
restore
Yeah.
salvageable, restore your life. So necessarily suicide is not necessarily the ends to all means, but you can correct me there because I'm confused.
Well, it's not necessarily that you said it exactly right, Gary. It's not necessarily that, but all indications are that it is that, because what you've done is you've taken all the opportunities that God the Father has given you, right, in experiencing this life. And it's so important. He requires his creator sons, each one, to do that, don't they? Think of it that way. If it's important enough for you to go through a life that the creators of the local universes, every single one of them, every 700,000 of them, have to go through the same experience as us, do you think life is important? Even the experience of death? If you take your own life, you have cheated yourself out of what? The experience of death, dying normally. Okay. And that could be normally getting in a car accident. That could be normally from dying of cancer. That could be normally of your heart stopping in the middle of the night. We don't know, but it's a normal death. And each one of us individually has our own experience of that. And they're all different, every single one of them. If you think your death is going to be just like somebody else, it's not. It's your death, so your experience of that death will be unique for you. Okay? So what I'm saying is this: by even considering ending your own life. I'm not talking about giving your life for someone else or anything like that. I'm talking about selfishly ending your life because you're in a little bit of pain or a lot of pain or anything else, or if you're in a bad situation. Nothing on this world is permanent, is it? It's all temporary. So what can you do to help your brothers and sisters who are considering this? You need to point out to them the preciousness of the experience of life, even if it's a bad experience, right? The bad experiences are just as important as the good experiences. They're all a growing experience. And by taking your own life, you cheat yourself out of that experience, right?
I got a question for you. What do you talk to a person that believes the Jewish faith?
You have to bring it to them on their own level, Gary.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I've introduced them to the book, which is rejected.
Well, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? You've done your
Yeah.
duty. What does Jesus say to do about that? Dust off
I
your
think we can
feet
discuss
and
that.
go
You
on.
wipe your hands with
That's right.
huh?
Keep going. That's right. Gary, I've been rejected so many times in my life, I couldn't even count them, you know. People reject me every day when they go out and see these videos. Some people don't get through 10 seconds of it and they say, oh, this guy's full of crap, you know. That's their right, you know.
No,
But
years ago, was doing when I first got involved in this stuff. I did a review. I wanted to look on the internet for reviews of the Urantia book,
yeah,
and I came across one review. It was terrible. It was obviously by a close-minded Christian that
yeah,
really believed in the Bible. And I goes, he actually was so negative, he actually became a positive for me. Does that make
yeah,
sense? I mean,
yeah,
I'm
it
saying this.
does. It does. You know, I experienced the same thing. I guess it was probably in the early 90s. There was this big preacher that did a review of the Urantia book, knew absolutely nothing of what he was talking about. But it was so funny because he made it sound so negative. Any idiot could see that this guy didn't know what he was talking about, you know? And so, you know, you just do what you can. You try to help as many people as you can. And those that benefit from it, you've done your job, you know? Let me put it this way. How many years have we been meeting, Rodney? About 12 now, 11, 12, 13, something like that. And all the impressions that we have made as a group to other beings out there on the planet, if we made one impression that changed one life for the better, we've done our job, right? That's all there is to it. So hopefully we've done our job more than once. Anyway, y'all, we got through paper 46. We will meet Thursday and we will finish paper 109. I think it is. And at that point, we're going to do Sunday and I'm going to finish the introduction to the Urantia book. And like I said, that will be our last meeting till January. Y'all know I have some physical things I have to take care of this month. So I'm going to take a sabbatical. I give everybody a break for a few weeks, and hopefully, right after the first of the year, I'll send out a meeting notice and we'll get started on wherever we left off. Okay, sound like a plan?
Mm-hmm.
Sound like a
And
plan.
thank you all at home for joining me. Please come see us again. Let me stop the share and stop the Facebook. Stop the recording here.